I'm Lou Brutus, and for a reason I'll make known to him in just a moment, I'm expecting a pat on the back from my next guest, Tyler Connolly from Theory. Thank you for joining me.
What's happening, dude? Good to see you once again.
Well, that gets to the point of my comment. The last time you and I were together was actually in person at Rockfest in Cadott, Wisconsin in July, where you played me one of the most awesome Theory songs I have ever heard in my life. And since then, I have kept my promise and successfully kept my big fucking mouth shut. So it's time for you to go. Thanks for not blowing the surprise, Lou.
Well, thanks, Lou. Yeah, man. Yeah, we're excited for the song. I mean, I'm telling fans up on stage every night that you know, I'm so excited for you guys to hear it. And I tell them, I go, look, if you like the old Theory of a Deadman, you're gonna love the new Theory of a Deadman. That's what I keep telling fans. So they seem excited, but I don't think they're prepared for uh, for what they're gonna hear if they haven't heard it already.
Tell me about how the song came to be what it is.
Dinosaur. So you know what's interesting is that like when I started writing songs, I was a guitar player, so I always wrote all these riffs. It's always riffs, riffs, riffs. And then the lyrics came later, and I realized that maybe that wasn't a good way to write a song. So I kind of switched it. But on this record, I actually started writing riffs again, and maybe it just took a couple records for me to kind of get away from it for a bit to come back. And it's almost like a marriage where you need a break. And you realize how much you love that person, you know, when they're gone. So
that's a telling statement, by the way.
Well, yeah. So yeah, Dinosaur was I just came up with this name Dinosaur, and I'm like, that'd be a great name for a song. Like, what would a dinosaur riff sound like? And then I just wrote this riff that I thought sounded like a dinosaur, and it started there, and then it just kind of the lyrics came later. So that's how it kind of came to be.
What kind of insight can you give to the lyrics?
So lyrics are you know, they talk kind of about how we're kind of at the end. We've kind of invented it all. Everything has been wonderful, and now it's almost like, in essence, the Prince's party like it's 1999. It's almost like we are going to go out like the dinosaurs, which is all happening tonight, and no one gives a shit. So, and I think that's kind of like how the human race is. We all kind of are like the point now. We're like, well, it was a blast. So that's kind of like that's the kind of the hook of the song is tonight we're going out like the dinosaur. And yeah, it's a fun song. It kind of goes back to the fun theory, tongue in cheek, but the riff is just badass.
How much, flack have you guys gotten through the years? Because particularly early on, you had some, I don't know if irreverent is the right word for some of the lyrics, but some of the tunes are actually, had some funny stuff in them. Not that they were comedy songs. You ever get much grief for that?
No, what's great now is being a band for 20 years or 20 plus years is that we've gotten into the nostalgia phase of our career now. Like you've gotten to the point now where your fans that have stuck with you for 20 years, they couldn't care less about the content or where you're going with a song or lyrics. They just love it and they're going to listen to it. Just like if you play something you listened to when you're a kid and it is nostalgic and reminds you of a time or a person or a place, that's what we've gotten to in our career. So we'll play songs like Bitch Came Back and the audience loves it. We get our merch guy that says that people are looking for Bitch Came Back shirts, and we're like, I don't know about that one. But that's a song that we contemplated taking out of the set due to the potential misogyny of the lyrics and how it didn't necessarily age well. But like I said, we've gotten to a point now where our fans, they go, look, I mean, it is what it is. Music is something that's all taken in perspective, and we're I guess reveling in that at that point at this point of our career.
And you say you're at this point in your career, but you're still coming out. I mean, Dinosaur is living proof of it. You're still making compelling new music. Why is it some bands, and I've asked this of other folks before, why is it some bands can hit 20, 25, 30, 40 years and still come up with good music, whereas some burn out after a couple of records?
I don't know. I really don't. I for some people, like I think that there's a lot of other elements that come into play that really put a bad taste in their mouth. I mean, some people love making music. Kurt Cobain is a great example of someone that was so talented. Obviously, the rest of his band was, like, look at Dave Grohl. But I think once fame came in, or maybe record label pressure and stuff, he was like, this is just, my dream is this is gross now. So maybe for some people it's a dream. They love enjoying the creative process, but there's other things that come into play that just make it not fun anymore. For us, I think there's something about the brotherhood. There's something about the four of us, even with our crew, like, we love just being together. It's almost like this, once again, I'm dating myself by saying, like, it's a fraternal thing. Like, I love that age as well. But there is something that we just love being on the road together, on stage together. And that's kind of the driving force. We still have that chutzpah in us to continue to try to put out stuff that excites us,
Do you still like to sit in the front lounge and look out the windshield at where you're traveling through? Because you've been around this continent, I probably can't even count how many times. Do you still physically enjoy traveling and looking out the window?
Yeah, it's ironic you said that, because our new tour bus has windows in the bunk, and guitar player Dave, he says he'll get up really early when the bus is still moving, make himself a coffee, and then go lay in his bunk and put his coffee on the windowsill, whatever he does, watch TV or something. And then, but yeah, I still do. It's interesting. Me and Dean, the bass player, we always try to find something to do, whether on a show day or a day off. We're always trying to adventure, go find landmarks, trying to find something exciting about the city. But there's always exciting something about the city. You gotta go dig for it. So yeah, we still enjoy it. I think we definitely are looking to try to go to places that we haven't been to yet. I think there's bucket list places that we still haven't gotten to that we kind of moan and groan about. So yeah, well, hopefully we'll get there one day.
If you would be so kind to act as a sort of a travel agent, travel advisor for the rest of us, name maybe a couple of really cool places or things that you guys have seen through the years that you would say to other folks like myself, man, you've got to go see fill in the blank.
Oh, I mean, I love Europe. I love France. I love Paris. I love going to places like Amsterdam. There's something about how old Europe is. It's still how they still, like, there'll be a Starbucks in a 200-year-old castle building or something. So they kind of add this, they modernize everything. And then you come home and you're like, there's a Walmart and you're like, yeah. So I don't know, like, yeah, I love to travel. I would tell people to get out there and travel to places like Europe, even places like Russia. The first time I went to Russia, obviously we're not going back to Russia now, but like the first time we went to Russia, everyone was afraid for us to go. They're like, well, we don't know what's going to happen. Like, you get kidnapped or something. We're like, what are you talking about? And we went over there, and it was like the people there were so wonderful. I mean, the government is not, but the people there, it's not their fault, but they are music lovers, and just everything about that place, the architecture, just these places exist, all these wonderful places that we really have no clue really are there. But yeah, travel abroad, please. It's phenomenal.
How far had you guys gotten into Russia or the rest of Eastern Europe? Because I think for a lot of hard rock and metal bands, that was the most growth I think anybody had seen in the touring world since I've been doing this, and I'm doing this a long time. For example, when the pandemic hit and things were shutting down around the globe, the Starset guys, they were in Siberia. They almost didn't make it back home. They were like on last flight kind of things. How far had you guys made it out there?
I mean, we haven't gone any farther than like St. Petersburg or Moscow. There's been opportunities to go. Like, Russia is so huge. I mean, you could go do 7-8 shows in Russia, but you're talking really small places where you have to take a train for 24 hours to get to. So at that point, we were kind of like, nah, it didn't really balance out for us. But yeah, I mean, that's about as far as we've gone. Eastern Europe, not so much. We'd love to go over there more often. Like we had a Czech Republic festival that we had to cancel. But yeah, we'd love to get out some of those places because yeah, they love music, and I don't think they get a lot of it. I think we're really spoiled over here. So you go to places where they're like, we went to Russia and we had a fan that traveled 24 hours on a train to come see our show. And we were like, you're nuts. Why would you do that? That's crazy. So you see fans like that over there. Even in places like England, you see there's something about it that's it's almost customary. Uh, so yeah, I don't know. We try to go over there as much as we can, which isn't enough, unfortunately.
Tyler, back to Dinosaur. Do you remember the first time that you brought it to the rest of the guys? Did you send them a demo? Was it a rehearsal? What were the circumstances?
Yeah, I think it was probably, I think that song I demoed up pretty well as a song and send it to the guys. Some songs I'll literally just do a riff and then send it to Joe, our drummer, and he'll put drums and bass on it. But I think Dinosaur, I put together most of it just kind of as a demo and sent it to the guys and said, hey, what do you think? I think, yeah, all the reaction was really positive. I think everyone was just like, yeah, this is gonna be good. I was gonna say, but I mean, it wasn't really until we got into the studio where it kind of like took on that new life, where it really was like, okay, this is definitely the standout track. Okay, we already picked the first single like within a couple weeks being in the studio.
And what were where were the sessions? Who else did you work with? And tell me all about it.
So we worked with Martin Treffi again. It was our third time. He recorded the last two, and he's not really a rock guy. I mean, he's done some big ass records, but a lot of them are. He's won Grammys. He's an insanely amazing, talented producer and songwriter. But like he's worked with bands like did the Train record with the Hey Soul Sister record, whatever one that was. But stuff like that. Jason Mraz did all his records. KT Tunstall. So for him, working with a rock band, it's just like he was like super excited. He's just like, so he wanted to do stuff as heavy and as rock as possible. So we went to Sweden and recorded all of it or most of it in Stockholm, and where Ghosts did their last album. And we just try to make it as rock as we could. Everyone was in this big room, and other than me, the three of the guys were all in the same room recording together as a band. Everything was kept. We didn't really overdub any instruments. Everything that we recorded together as a band was recorded together as a band, so you can hear it. Someone plays a little bit out of tune, it's just kept. There's no punching in, nothing. So that's the way. I mean, that's not how everyone does it. Some people don't have the opportunity to do that, but I mean, man, you can really hear it when you listen to this new record.
What do you suppose it is about the Swedes? There's at least one really interesting documentary and some really great books about how you could point to Swedish artists and producers for having taken over the world since ABBA in the 1970s. And it's a pretty compelling argument.
I don't know, but yeah, I know that documentary you're talking about. But yeah, I mean, you've got was it Max Martin? There's quite a few producers and songwriters and that from Sweden. I don't know what it is, but it's true. Like everyone we work with that's Swedish is ridiculous. And we got one of the producer engineers that we work with, Oster. He can't even tell he's Swedish. We didn't even know he was Swedish for the first few weeks we were working with him. And we're like, wait, you're Swedish? I think we heard him speaking Swedish. I'm like, well, hold on a second here, because he sounded like a full American. But I don't know, maybe that's what it is, the fact that they're able to do things in English so well that it translates. Everything translates so well. But I don't know what it is. There's something in the water over there, but maybe it was ABBA. ABBA did something.
the ABBA aura was so strong now, it's just carrying over into other things.
Yeah.
We had spoken about travel earlier. I'm embarrassed to say I've never been to Sweden, never been to Stockholm. Tell me about the city, because it's fairly legendary amongst travelers.
Oh, it's super clean. It's super quiet. Everything there is ridiculously healthy. There was something weird there. We noticed that there was tons of people pushing baby buggies, brand new babies. So I don't know if there was some sort of baby boom happened during the pandemic or something, but there wasn't really a pandemic over there. They didn't really have one. They just I think I don't know what they did over there, but they got rid of it with instantly. But everyone there is so happy all the time. The weather was great. But I honestly would move there if it wasn't where it was. You know what I mean? I would move there if it wasn't, if there was a Sweden over here, I would move there, but it's just too far, unfortunately.
I think they call it Wisconsin over here, don't they?
It's Montana. Yeah, I don't know. I wish I knew. I still haven't found it.
You're still living in LA these days, right?
Yeah, I still love it. One of the remaining people that still stuck it out.
Why do you think so many people have bolted? I mean, I know so many folks who were either from there or from other places who lived in LA and now they're in Nashville or Franklin, Tennessee, or, you know, you can do a lot of stuff wherever you are. Why do you suppose you like LA so much still?
It's the weather. I grew up on West Coast, so I've been West Coast my whole life in Vancouver. Vancouver is like LA North. There are a lot of similarities, I think. But yeah, I think LA reminds me a lot of home. I think there's 1 million Canadians that live in Los Angeles. So it's really weird. You don't know which one they are. It's not like we have a secret sign or something.
They all know the handshake, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
The grip.
But there's something about it. It's almost like, you know, people that live in New York, they tend to gravitate towards Florida, right? There's something about it where people live in Vancouver tend to go towards LA, or I know a lot of people who live in Vancouver that go to Phoenix. It's the weather, I think. They like the dry heat. But I think a lot of people, many people move away because it's insanely expensive. It's insane. It's ridiculous. So I could see why a lot of people are like, I got to get out of here. I have a friend that lives in LA. He's moving to Florida. He's done. Can't afford it. So there you go.
Well, Tyler, it's always great to speak to you. I'm glad to see you looking so well. And I'm honest to God, I'm really happy for the song. I think it's a great piece of work, and I hope it blows up real big for you.
Oh, thanks, man. It's always good to see you. I'm sure we will cross paths at some point. We're going to be out on the road for a long time, so it's going to be good.